Welcome to the 6.2 Holy Tower Guide. Holy Tower is basically an instance from the previous version of Aion, but along with the recent update there hasn't changed much. You have to kill a few towers and monsters in order to face one single final boss on a platform, called Nergal. In comparison to the level 75 version of Holy Tower, most mechanics remain the same. The boss only dies faster, and therefore it has become easier to finish it off once and for all. First of all, we take a look at the platform itself. It's a large circle with smaller circles on the edge. These small circles are relevant for some of the mechanics, so it's necessary and indeed important to assign a circle to each person of the group. For example, you can mark the position and assign numbers to each member, or post the location along with your member's name. Sometimes random groups tend to only mark you with a number, so if you're not sure about your position, ask your group leader first. The boss itself is often tagged near the yellow position on a map, though it doesn't really matter. It's just recommended to position it not in the middle, so the ranged DPS and eventual healers receive less damage from certain attacks. So far most groups require a cleric due to continuous and high area damage dealt to all members of the party. Moreover, an off-heal is recommended, which refers to damage cleric, chanter or bard, who can help out in case of an emergency. This might happen if the cleric dies or is paralyzed randomly by Nergal, which may lead to an unfortunate wipe. Therefore, shields and or additional heals highly recommended. Except for this, you can probably take any class with you, though it's nice to have classes with you that can immobilize large group of monsters, for example by fear, winter binding or sleep, especially if your group isn't that strong yet. The fight contains, as mentioned previously, various mechanics which are chosen randomly by the boss. Some other mechanics may happen every time, but depend on your DPS or even might be skipped in case you're too fast. Nergal himself has a few AoEs that deal damage in a circle around him or to the whole platform. His user AoE is called Ice Pick Shield and deals damage around him. You can avoid it if you're far away enough. Then there's Earth Shattering Shield that consumes about 50% of everyone's HP and hits the whole platform. If you have less HP, you receive therefore of course less damage as well. Sometimes he casts Lightning Smash, which paralyzes a random target and deals some damage. In case it concerns the cleric, now is the time to use your shields, potions, or skills that restore HP to survive this. In between, a Felicia Witch may spawn while Nergal starts casting Raging Cold. This monster has to be pulled into one of the small circles around the map and be killed immediately. It's very important that the witch dies in a circle, so an updraft appears that enables the whole group to open their wings and avoid a deadly attack by gliding above the ground. The group has to agree on one circle first though to avoid confusion or losing important time. Most groups choose a circle near the boss in favor of the melee classes. Especially nowadays, the witch may die rather fast, so it's important as well to check the car's advancement before you start gliding. If there's about 75% done, it's safe to glide without dying because of landing too early. Another possible mechanic is the appearance of 6 towers with monsters you can either pull into the middle and immobilize by winter binding, sleep, fear, or you can eliminate them quickly. Afterwards it's necessary to go to your previously chosen tower and click on it to start a card that prevents the boss from receiving a certain buff. It's quite important not to take your hands off it before they disappear by themselves. In case you succeed, the boss freezes for a while and you can simply attack it without receiving any damage. If you fail, the boss receives the mentioned buff, which enables to kill your group members by 1 or 2 normal hits. This doesn't have to be the fight's end necessarily, but you have to move the boss around if you're his primary target, in order to avoid dying. If people die, which is most likely to happen, whoever has to resurrect them as soon as possible. After you burned most of Nurgle's HP, he may spawn a certain legate that has to die quickly because otherwise it may deal enormous damage to your party. At the same time, a randomly chosen player receives a strong buff that increases HP and attack and makes you nearly invincible. During this time the player even survives the witch's AoE, but be careful. If the buff runs out, You need to be healed up quickly. Another variation that causes problems for a lot of parties is bad omen. Naga suddenly targets someone and provides them with a debuff that looks like Chilling Cold from Narukali or Instant Fear. It slows you down, causes instant death to yourself and everyone in your close range. At the same time, a certain monster spawns on a platform, and your mission is now to run to this monster immediately and die along with it once your debuff runs out. If you don't manage this, the whole group will die along with you. Moreover, the monster keeps on casting a deadly AoE until it despawns. Therefore, it's rather difficult to survive this in case of a failure. In most cases, your men have to start over. In case your group isn't used to this mechanic yet, it's wiser to either mark the monster or direct the chosen player to it as well as calling out to him when the attack is casted. Last but not least, the boss will cast Shield of Faith at one point, which makes him invincible except for so-called dots. During this time, it's your task to destroy the towers around the platform, a great moment for Word of Destruction or Curse Cloud. The monsters that come from the towers deal quite some damage, most likely to the healers, so it's rather important to deal with them quickly and before Nurgle's cast is finished, otherwise your group may die. During this phase, a lot of circles keep spawning on the ground that deal just quite a bit of damage, but you may kill you very quickly once they explode. Please avoid them by any means, therefore, during the whole fight. Once the fight is over, you're rewarded with legendary armor or wings, or a feather or bracelet, as well as minionite, ancient enchantment stones, and ancient gear you can roll on. Holy Tower isn't exactly an instance you'd run with a reduced amount of people, but it's indeed possible, as well if you're kiting Nurgle successfully. However, I hope I was able to point out a few things about this instance to you. Thank you for watching.